this is kind of a painful thing, because think about it. I got like 5k honor there for this. I got 5k honor for this AV. Five, 5k honor. And I need to get 500,000. How much AV do I have to fucking run? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, seriously, how much AV do I have to run to actually get? That's Jesus Christ. Like, that 5k is unusual. I think it's normally more like 3k, 3 something k. So you have to get, so you get like, let's say 3,000 on a run. So you do 10 runs, you get 30,000. I need 500,000. Oh, Jesus Christ. We're looking at over like 100 matches of this. Jesus Christ. Okay, this may be going on to the sound grind. I've been debating it, but if that's gonna be how it is, I might be shoving this on the sound grind. ITS? I don't know that one. Need to stop so I can check back a little bit. One, two, three. Because instead of stopping and starting, I kind of just end up standing there, but we'll move on and ignore that. Hero's leggings. Wow. 18 agility, 17 spares. Like for a random green, that's pretty good. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Uh-huh. Just give me close enough to our base and can channel teleport. Oh, I'm already gone. Ah. Hordy now. No NPC up here. Oh well, didn't end up being able to res them, sadly. Thought it was a stray NPC, but there ended up being not being able to didn't end up being able to find an NPC, but found the player hordes. Hmm. Most people are on defense. One person's doing their quest. Um, excuse me. Yeah, they get a guy for taking out one of our places. Ooh, that actively updates. Very nice. Okay, I'm not sure what gave me 13% there. Ugh. 1, 2, 3, 4. Happens. Didn't mean pop wings there. Wow, 7 commander's medals. If only I could turn it in. And there is another 5k. Maybe a win during the like weekend does get you 5k. And if that's the case, a reliable 5k would be nice. Because then 10's 50,000. 10 matches will be 50k, 10 wins is 50k. And it's not much further to 80k. So, eh. Okay, after this match, I'm thinking of heading and doing that the reads to do something different. Thanks to the weird little hinge on this, though, it had to flick Koa right at me. Could have gotten the mic. Sorry, I'm taking headset off. Just having a quick look at the mic. Not that much time. It seems actually kind of grand. Guess I got lucky. Excuse me. Apologies. A bit late off the start, but oh well. Blessing of Kings. Stats increases stats by 10%. You just distracted for a sec, or what?
What can I do for you?
Need to kind of shine my glasses. There's a smudge on them. protect me. Thorium belt. Ah, it's that. Anyone? Anyone gonna finish him? Oh, at least I got to see him die. Okay. My elbow's actually really hurting from leaning on it.
That's still recharging.
God damn the range. Increases damage by 20%. Jesus. Damn it. Great. Hasta la vista. Incredible. And of course, it's the priest. We've lost this one. Huh. We still got more honor than the Horde did.
Talk to me.
Okay, I'll go do the reading now. Hey, what's that guy, Palnai or not? I was kind of distracted by its sword. Priestess Tyronia? Tyronia. I think it was this one, Guardians of Terrasville. With the absence of trolls in the Northlands, the elves of Palanai spent their efforts towards rebuilding their glorious homeland. The victorious armies of Arator returned home to the southlands of Straw. The human society of Arator grew and prospered, yet Thoradin, fearful that his kingdom would splinter apart if it overextended itself, maintained that Strom was the center of the Aratorian Empire. After many peaceful years of growth and commerce, mighty Thoradin died of old age, leaving Arator's younger generation free to expand the empire beyond the lands of Strom. The original 100 Magi, who were tutored in the ways of magic by the elves, expanded their powers and studied the mystic disciplines of spell weaving in much greater detail. These Magi, initially chosen for their strong wills and noble spirits, had always practiced their magic with care and responsibility. However, they passed their secrets and powers on to a newer generation that had no concept of the rigors of war or the necessity for self-restraint. These younger magicians began to practice magic for personal gain, rather than out of any responsibility towards their fellows. As the empire grew and expanded into new lands, the young magicians also spread out into the Southlands. Wielding their mystical powers, the magicians protected their brethren from the wild creatures of the land, made it possible for new city-states to be constructed in the wilderness. Yet, as their powers grew, the magicians became ever more conceited and isolated from the rest of society. The second Aratorian city-state of Dalaran was founded in the lands north of Strom. Many fledgling wizards left the restraining confines of Strom behind and traveled to Dalaran, where they hoped to use their new powers with greater freedom. These magicians used their skills to build up the enchanted spires of Dalaran and reveled in the pursuit of their studies. The citizens of Dalaran tolerated the magicians' endeavors and built up a bustling economy under protection of their magic-using defenders. Yet as more and more magicians practiced their arts, the fabric of reality around Dalaran began to weaken and tear. The sinister agents of the Burning Legion, who had been banished when the Well of Eternity collapsed, were lured back into the world by the heedless spell-casting of the magicians of Dalaran. Though these relatively weak demons did not appear in force, they did sow considerable confusion and chaos within the streets of Dalaran. Most of these demonic encounters were isolated events, and the ruling magocrats did what they could to keep such events hidden from the public. The most powerful magicians were sent to capture the elusive demons, but they often found themselves hopelessly outmatched by the lone agents of the mighty Legion. After a few months, the superstitious peasantry began to suspect that their sorceress rulers were hiding something terrible from them. Rumors of revolution began to sweep through the streets of Dalaran as the paranoid citizenry questioned the motives and practices of the magicians they had once admired. The magocrats, fearing that the peasants would revolt and that Strom would take action against them, turned to the only group that they felt would understand their particular problem: the elves. Upon hearing the magocrats' news of demonic activity in Dalaran, the elves quickly dispatched their mightiest wizards to the human lands. The elven wizards studied the energy currents in Dalaran and made detailed reports of all demonic activity that they beheld. They concluded that although there were only a few demons loose in the world, the Legion itself would remain a dire threat as long as humans continued to wield the forces of magic. The Council of Silvermoon, which ruled over the elves of Kel'Thalas, entered into a secret pact with the magocrat lords of Dalaran. The elves told the magocrats about the history of ancient Kalimdor and of the Burning Legion, a history which still threatened the world. They informed the humans that so long as they used magic, they would need to protect their citizenry from the malicious agents of the Legion. The Magicrats proposed the notion of empowering a single mortal champion who would utilize their powers in order to fight a never-ending secret war against the Legion. It was stressed that the majority of mankind could never know about the Guardians or the threat of the Legion for fear that they would riot in fear and paranoia. The elves agreed to the proposal and founded a secret society that would watch over the selection of the Guardian and help to stem the rise of chaos in the world. The society held its secret meetings in the shadowed Terraceville Glades, where the High Elves first settled in Lordaeron. Thus they named the secret sect the Guardians of Terraceville. The mortal champions who were chosen to be guardians were imbued with incredible powers of both elven and human magic. Though there would only ever be one guardian at a time, they held such vast power that they could single-handedly fight back the Legion's agents wherever they were found in the world. Excuse me. The Guardian power was so great that only the Council of Terraceville was allowed to choose potential successors to the mantle of guardianship. Whenever a Guardian grew too old or wearied of the secret war against chaos, the Council chose a new champion and, under controlled conditions, formally channeled the Guardian power into its new agent. As the generations passed, the Guardians defended the masses of humanity from the invisible threat, the Burning Legion, throughout the lands of Arator and Kel'Thuzad. Arator grew and prospered, while the use of magic spread throughout the Empire. Meanwhile, the Guardians kept careful watch for signs of demonic activity.
Need help?
Arakesh? Lord Gregor so-and-so, there you are. What news from Westfall? Mara's on the soundbite. Van Cleef sends word about plans. But he's heard rumors about someone snooping about. It could be that Meadow is Shaw. See what I can discover. Be off, which will contact you again soon. Very well, return then. That's it. That's what you're waiting for. Kill them. What? How dare you? If I succeed, no meek adventurer will stop us. Yeah, presumably that was a rogue quest. The Dark Portal and the Fall of Stormwind. As Kil'jaeden prepared the Horde for its invasion of Azeroth, Medivh continued to fight for his soul against Sargeras. King Lane, the noble monarch of Stormwind, grew wary of the darkness which seemed to taint the spirit of his former friend. King Lane shared his concerns with Anduin Lothar, the last descendant of the Rati bloodline, whom he named his lieutenant-at-arms. Even so, neither man could have imagined that Medivh's slow descent into madness would bring about the horrors that were to come. As the final incentive, Sargeras promised to bestow great power upon Gul'dan if he agreed to lead the Horde to Azeroth. Through Medivh, Sargeras told the Warlock that he could become a living god if he found the undersea tomb where the Guardian Agwyn had placed Sargeras' crippled body nearly 1,000 years before. Gul'dan agreed and decided that once the denizens of Azeroth were beaten, he would find the legendary tomb and claim his reward. Assured that the Horde would serve his purposes, Sargeras ordered the invasion to begin. Through a joint effort, Medivh and the Warlocks of the Shadow Council opened a dimensional gateway known as the Dark Portal. This portal bridged the distance between Azeroth and Draenor, and was large enough that armies might pass through it. Gul'dan dispatched Orc scouts through the portal to survey the lands which they would conquer. The returning scouts assured the Shadow Council that the world of Azeroth was ripe for the taking. Still convinced that Gul'dan's corruption would destroy his people, Durotan spoke out against the Warlocks once more. The brave warrior claimed that the Warlocks were destroying the purity of the Orcish spirit, and this reckless invasion will be their doom. Gul'dan, unable to risk killing such a popular hero, was forced to exile Durotan and his Frostwolf clan into the far reaches of this new world. After the exiled Frostwolves charged through the portal, and a few orc clans followed, these clans quickly set up a base of operations within the Black Morass, a dark and swampy area far to the east of the Kingdom of Stormwind. As the orcs began to branch out and explore the new lands, they came into immediate conflict with the human defenders of Stormwind. Though these skirmishes usually ended quickly, they did much to illustrate the weakness and strengths of both rival species. Lane and Lothar were never able to gather accurate data of the orcs' numbers, could only guess of how great a force they would have to contend with. After a few years, the majority of the orcish horde had crossed the Azeroth, and Gul'dan deemed the time for their primary strike against humanity had come. The horde launched its full might against the unsuspecting kingdom of Stormwind. As the forces of Azeroth and the horde clashed across the kingdom, internal conflicts began to take their toll on both armies. King Lane, who believed that the bestial orcs were to be incapable of conquering Azeroth, contemptuously held his position at his capital of Stormwind, for Sir Lothar became convinced that the battle should be taken directly to the enemy, and he was forced to choose between his convictions and his loyalty to the king. Choosing to follow his instincts, Lothar stormed Medivh's tower, fortress of Karazhan, with the help of the wizard's young apprentice, Khadgar. Khadgar and Lothar succeeded in vanquishing the possessed guardian, whom they confirmed to be the source of the conflict. By killing Medivh's body, Lothar and the young apprentice inadvertently banished the spirit of Sargeras to the abyss. As a consequence, the pure, virtuous spirit of Medivh was also allowed to live on, and wander the astral plane for many years to come. Although Medivh had been defeated, the Horde continued to dominate the defenders of Stormwind. As the Horde's victory drew nearer, Ogrim Doomhammer, one of the greatest orc chieftains, began to see the depraved corruption that had spread throughout the clans ever since their time in Draenor. His old comrade Durotan returned from exile and warned them yet again of Gul'dan's treachery. In speedy retribution, Gul'dan's assassins murdered Durotan and his family, leaving only his infant son alive. Unknown to Doomhammer was the fact that Durotan's infant son was found by a human officer at Dallas Blackmoor and taken as a slave. That infant orc would one day rise to become the greatest leader his people would ever know. Incensed by Durotan's death, Ogrim set out to free the Horde from demonic corruption and ultimately assumed the role of war chief of the Horde by killing Gul'dan's corrupt puppet, Blackhand. Under his decisive leadership, the relentless Horde finally laid siege to Stormwind Keep. King Lane had severely underestimated the might of the Horde, and he watched helplessly as his kingdom fell to the green-skinned invaders. Ultimately, Lane was assassinated by one of the Shadow Council's finest killers, the half-orc Grana. Lothar and his warriors, returning home from Karazhan, hoped to stem the loss of life and save their once glorious homeland. Instead, they returned too late and found their beloved kingdom in smoking ruins. The orcish horde continued to ravage the countryside and claimed the surrounding lands for their own, forcing into hiding. Lothar and his companions swore a grim oath to claim their homeland at any cost. Meanwhile, in the war-torn lands of the south, the Battle of Grim Batol. Meanwhile, in the war-torn lands of the south, the scattered remnants of the Horde fought for their very survival. Though Grom Hellscream and his Warsong clan managed to evade capture, Deadeye and his Bleeding Hollow clan were rounded up and placed in the internment camps in Lordaeron. Notwithstanding these costly uprisings, the camp's wardens soon re-established control over their brutish charges. However, unknown to the Alliance, a large force of orcs still roamed free in the northern wastes of Khazmodan. The Dragonmole clan, led by the infamous warlock Necros, was using an ancient artifact known as the Demon Soul to control the Dragon Queen Alexstrasza and her dragonflight. With the Dragon Queen as his hostage, Necros built up a secret army within the abandoned, some say cursed, Wildhammer stronghold of Grim Batol. Planning to unleash its forces and the mighty red dragons on the Alliance, Necros hoped to reunite the Horde and continue its conquest of Azeroth. His vision did not come to pass. A small group of resistance fighters led by the human mage Ronan managed to destroy the Demon Soul and free the Dragon Queen from Necros' control. In their fury, Alexstrasza's dragons tore Grim Batol apart and incinerated the greater bulk of the Dragonmole clan. Necros' grand schemes of reunification came crashing down as Alliance troops rounded up the remaining orc survivors and threw them into the waiting internment camps. Dragonmole clan's defeat signaled the end of the Horde and the end of the orcs' furious bloodlust. That's interesting, because Grim Batol was meant to be cursed with dark shadows and darkness from the abyss, to the point of scarring the Wildhammer psyche, to the point of not wanting to be underground anymore. They can tolerate a hillside like base built into a hill, but they don't plumb the depths anymore, to the point of falling out with the Bronzebeards over it. It was such like a psychological scarring. While Thrall was liberating his brethren Lordaeron, Ner'zhul continued to build up his power base in Northrend. A great citadel was erected above the Ice-Crowned Glacier, and manned by the growing legions of the dead. Yet as the Lich King extended his influence over the land, one shadowy empire stood against his power. The ancient subterranean kingdom of Azul-Nerub had been founded by a race of sinister humanoid spiders, sent their elite warrior guard to attack Icecrown and the Lich King's mad bid for dominance. Much to his frustration, Ner'zhul found that the evil Nerubians were immune not only to the plague, but to his telepathic domination as well. The Nerubian Spider Lords commanded vast forces and had an underground network that stretched nearly half the breadth of Northrend. Their hit-and-run tactics on Lich King's strongholds stymied his efforts to root them out time after time. Ultimately, Ner'zhul's war against the Nerubians was won by attrition. With the aid of the sinister Dreadlords and the innumerable undead warriors, the Lich King invaded the Azul-Nerub and brought its subterranean temples crashing down upon the Spider Lords' heads. Though the Nerubians were immune to the plague, Ner'zhul's growing necromantic powers allowed him to raise the Spider Warriors' corpses and bend them to his will. As a testament to their tenacity and fearlessness, Ner'zhul adopted the Nerubians' distinct architecture style for his own fortresses and structures. Left to rule his kingdom unopposed, the Lich King began preparing for his true mission in the world. Reaching out into the human lands with his vast consciousness, the Lich King called out to any dark soul that would listen. That's it seems.
What's on your mind?
Mistress Ironhill.
Hello.
And Grand Admiral Just Terret. Oh, apparently, Nat Pagel is actually a Blizz reference. There's a Blizzard dev by that name. Well, actually, if it's not Pagel, it's Pat. Fuck, I can't remember now. It's not Pagel's the fishing guy, right? Then you switch the N and the P. That's apparently, I think that's the guy's actual name. I'm trying to remember what I read on WoW Wiki. Apparently that guy exists. He's actually he's a WoW dev. He designed the whole Stitches questline in Duskwood, and he did the Cobalt cleanup quest in Elwyn Forest. Actually, I think he did most. I think the Wiki said he did most of the Elwyn Forest quests. He's still at WoW even now, years and years on, and he's still at Blizzard even now, apparently, according to WoW Wiki. At least if he's gone, they haven't updated. Loud. And he's working on Hearthstone. So it's cool seeing people still around after so long. Though it's sad that Samwise is gone. To be honest, I don't really know who did what, but it's just they're just like a veteran person of Blizzard, been around since very early days, and influential presumably. Okay, I got 12, so I could do 4 turn-ins over there.
How are you?
thinking I may call quits here now in a sec and just go get some sleep.